What's going on, everyone? Today we have the 2019 Hyundai Tucson. Going through its mid-cycle refresh, it offers new features, a lot of value for the money. I can't wait to show it to you. We're going to take a look at all the exterior features, interior features, cargo, all that good stuff, and go for a test drive. Let's get started. All right, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in for this 2019 Hyundai Tucson review. So we have the very top trim level, the Ultimate right here. And for 2019, it's a mid-cycle refresh. And this is also the front wheel drive model. I'm gonna give you a quick look at some of the exterior features. So the lower models will give you halogen projector bulbs, the SE and the SEL, but the rest of them will give you these LED headlights and the LED daytime running lights, and they definitely look pretty nice. That blinker is also LED, and there's LED accent lighting below right next to those fog lights as well. Here's a look at how the headlights do at night. Pretty darn good. LED headlights usually seem to do pretty well. Fog lights, being halogen, give you a little bit of width, but probably better suited for some actual driving in the fog. One thing about these fog lights is that they are halogen, which is kind of interesting. You get fog lights on the sport trim and up. Then as we move across, you've got a couple black accents on here. Hyundai gives you their new cascading chrome accented grille on the Limited and Ultimate trim right here, as you can see, with the black insert as well, almost like a meshy look. And there's a camera there on the front, and I'll show you what that is for once we get onto the inside. This is the white pearl color, and it does have a little bit of flake to it as well. It doesn't shine quite as much as you would expect from some white paints, but it does have a little tiny bit of an ivory color. Otherwise, it's pretty darn white. It's almost like a super white, but there is a little bit of flake that is in there. The wheels on the Tucson are gonna range from 17 to 19-inch wheels. Our particular model gives us these 18-inch wheels with 225/55 series tires. You've got vented front disc brakes and solid rear disc brakes sitting on some Michelin tires there. Then you've got the black trim that goes around the fenders, carries down on the bottom, and even that gray insert down there as well. One difference between some of the models is you have a chrome window belt line and chrome door handles on the Limited and the Ultimate trim, just to give you a little bit more of a premium look. And then our mirrors on the Limited and Ultimate also give us the LED turn signal in the mirror as well. And there's a camera on the bottom of that. The very base model does not have blind spot monitoring, so it will actually give you a blind spot mirror inside of the mirror. Now, in terms of length, the Tucson is 176 inches long, which is quite a bit smaller than most of the competitors, considering most of them are over 180 inches long. But this is kind of an in-betweener. It's not necessarily a completely direct competitor to some of those other ones like the RAV4, CRV, those. But this Hyundai Santa Fe is 187 to 186 inches, and the Hyundai Kona is 164 inches. And then as we get around to the back, we do have an independent rear suspension, which gives us the best combination of handling and ride comfort. And then once we get all the way to the back, Hyundai gives you an LED high mounted brake light right up there. All of them get that LED light, which is nice and bright, just a good safety feature. And then the sport trim and up will give you LED tail lights. Also on the upper trims, we get this dual exhaust tip, which actually looks pretty nice on this vehicle. It kind of gives it a little bit of a sporty flair in the back. And then the turn signal back here is your typical incandescent bulb. For 2019, the Hyundai Tucson has a lot of new available tech. So standard now on every single trim is their forward collision avoidance assist system, driver attention warning, and lane keeping assist. On everything except the base, you'll get blind spot monitoring with rear cross traffic collision warning. Every brand says things a little differently. The Limited trim will give us a surround view camera where you can see top-down view of the vehicle with cameras all around it. The Night Edition will give you smart cruise control, stop and go, pedestrian detection for your collision system. And then once you get to the Ultimate trim, you will get all of that, plus rain sensing wipers and automatic high beams. Now as we get to the cargo area of the Hyundai Tucson, it's going to beep when you stand real close. As long as you have the key fob on you, we have the smart power lifting tailgate, which is a feature that you can get on the sport model and up. And once we get back here, we've got 31 cubic feet behind the second row, and then 62 cubic feet once you fold them down. So it's smaller than your typical crossover in the class, but considering how big it is in its dimensions, this is actually respectable. And fun fact, This has more space than the Mazda CX-5, which is a longer vehicle. Just a tad more space, but still quite a bit for how big it actually is on the outside. Now that we're back here, we've got a grab handle right up there and your button to lower it down. And then taking a look, I've got a couple of items back here. The surface area to put stuff is actually pretty good. So despite the numbers, it's pretty good because we kind of have that sloped glass that comes down that can impede some of the actual cubic feet numbers. But over here, you've got a little hook, you have a light and a 12-volt power outlet. Each side also gives you a little tie down over there in each corner. Another neat little feature is right here's another little hook that you can hang a couple things on, maybe grocery bags or something like that. And we've got another hook right over there. Now underneath of this floor, we have a spare tire, and this can also come out and then slide back in to be in a lower position. So then you can get the most out of your cargo area, and you can have stuff that won't like slide out of here, which is nice. Then you've got an extra little storage cubby right there, or a little insect hangout. And then my only thing that I don't really like about this back seat area is that you have to go to the back seat in order to get it. So you can pull this lever, the seat will fold down. And then you can do the same on the other side. I just wish there was an actual thing you could touch, maybe reach in from the back to try to get it to fold down. And with that seat, about even with my seat, it will fold down on its own. And then it will give you 62 cubic feet with everything folded down, which is a decent amount of space, but not quite as much as the class leaders, even though this is, significantly shorter than the rest of those. Now everything but the base will give you the proximity key, which is what we have right here, just your typical functions on here. It is fairly slim, does fit into your pocket pretty well. And when you have this on every trim but the base, you get push button start in addition to that. So the way this works, there's no sensors or anything, there's just a button to lock it, and then there's a button to unlock it. And each time you push the button, the mirror will flash. And if any of you are interested in remote start, it is available with the BlueLink app. Now once you hop inside the Tucson, the base model trim is going to give you 6-way cloth seats. On the value trim and up, you'll get heated seats that are 8-way power adjustable, including lumbar support. The Limited and Ultimate will give you leather seats that we have right here. They are perforated leather in my particular trim, and the passenger now gets 8-way power adjustment, no lumbar support. And then once you get to the Ultimate trim, which we have right here, you get the same seats, leather, but they're perforated, heated, 8-way power, lumbar support, and now they're also ventilated. The only thing we're missing is memory seats, but these perforated, leather, ventilated, and heated seats are pretty comfortable. They've got some good bolstering around the sides. It's actually more than I was expecting. Even the headrest is adjustable, so you can move that forward for those of you that like it forward, and for those of you like me that like it back, you can move it back. And right now I have the seat all the way down. I am 5'9", and I can fit a few fingers up above my head. So headroom is still pretty good, even though we've got this huge panoramic roof up there. Another thing on the Limited and Ultimate, you get a leather heated steering wheel. It is tilt and telescoping adjustable, and it seems to have a pretty good range of motion as well. So pretty comfortable seats for the most part. I've had no troubles whatsoever. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hopping inside the Tucson. It is refreshed for 2019 as well, with some unique features and quite a few high-end features I was not expecting. So let's take a quick look at the interior material. You have a semi-soft material up here, not necessarily padded, but not a hard touch plastic. You've got a soft armrest. Although it is small, it does seem to be in a good spot. Kind of the same material right here that you get up here, and then you've got this hard touch plastic right here. The rest of the door panel carries out as the same. But my water bottle does fit down there, which is nice, and a little extra storage in here as well. Right on the inside of the vehicle, you've got your brightness controls, your blind spot monitoring, lane keep assist, traction control, and you can open your cargo area. Go ahead and shut the door. And it's got a little bit of a wallop to it, but overall this vehicle does seem to feel pretty solid. So I'll give you a quick look at this interior. It's kind of a unique design. It's definitely got the tablet layout with a practical yet simple interior. Start it up, foot on the brake, you got this lit up blue, and there it goes. Now let's start things off right here. We've got our leather heated steering wheel, which has some nice width to it. I really like it. I like these sport grips. It's a little bit of a kind of a stickier type of leather, but it does feel nice and it is soft. You've got your voice controls, you've got your radio controls, you can change your source on here as well. On the other side, you can scroll through your information display and adjust your cruise control settings and adjust your distance right here. Another nice thing is that we have rain sensing windshield wipers if you have your stock on auto. Otherwise, you can control it like normal. Now looking at our main display up above, on the Ultimate trim you get the electroluminescent gauge cluster with some pretty big gauges on the side and then the relatively small information display in the middle, and that's the largest information display that you get. Although some competitors give you larger ones, this one gives you all the information that you need. As we use our steering wheel buttons to scroll through here, and I have not driven this very much yet, I will drive more before the test drive. But on your main page, you've got a couple trip computers, digital speedometer that you can scroll through. You got your navigation right here, or at least your compass, not your navigation. Lane keeping system, if you have that active with your cruise control, driver attention warning, tire inflation display. And then you can look at all your driver assistance features and you can customize those. So for example, your smart cruise control, you can adjust whether it's quick reacting, normal, slow. A lot of customization that you can do through all of your safety settings on here. And of course you can turn them off if you don't trust them or don't want them. And then outside of the driver assistance features, you can customize when the door will unlock or lock, how your lights go, all of that good stuff, welcome sounds and service time. So a lot of information available on here. Standard on the SE through the Limited trim, you'll get a 7-inch touchscreen with a 6-speaker system, including Bluetooth and Apple CarPlay, Android Auto standard. But on our particular trim right here, we have the 8-inch screen, thanks to our Ultimate package right here. We still have some physical buttons on the side. You can see your radio, your media, your seek, a big volume knob as well. There's a good sized tuning knob on the other side. You can quickly access your map, navigation, or a custom button right there, and then your setup. And when you go to setup, there's truly a lot that you can do on here. There's a lot that you can see. You can go to your settings and customize even more information on here. Screensaver, all that. You can adjust your sound. And the sound on our particular model is an Infinity Audio 315 watt. And it sounds pretty good. It's definitely something nice to see in a vehicle of this size and price point. 8 speakers with a subwoofer. That's on the Sport trim and up. And then there's also the surround view camera. So if I put it in reverse and have the camera button lit up. So first of all, we have dynamic lines with our backup camera, but we can also see a top-down view over there. If you get next to something, it'll show you exactly where you will have your display. So you want to see that side, you want to see this side, then you can customize your settings as well, which is pretty cool. It's definitely nice to see a feature like that on a vehicle of this price point. It's not something I was expecting again. The actual touchscreen is not too bad. It is fairly responsive, good enough. I've had no troubles with it. It's a decent range away from you. It's not too far. It could honestly be maybe a little bit closer, but you can customize your home screen as well. Right below that, you actually have a softer material up here, which is kind of a nice little touch running over across the dash. One thing they discontinued with the radio is there's no more CD player on any trim. And then as we move down below, we have dual zone climate control. That will only be on the SEL trim and up. So you've got you and your passenger, each a temperature gauge. It shows you right in the middle. You can still control your fan speed, turn it off, change your mode, all that custom controls if you don't want it to be on automatic. Right below that, we have our ventilated seat and heated seat, both 3-tier, heated steering wheel, your defrost settings, and then same controls for your passenger right over there. Ventilated seats, not another thing I did not expect at this price point. Now right below the AC controls, we have two 12-volt power outlets, Qi wireless charging right here where these glasses are, auxiliary port, USB port for your Apple CarPlay. And if you don't have the wireless charging, which is new this year and on the Limited trim and up, you'll just have a storage bin right here. And next to that, you have another small storage bin, which is nice. The shifter feels nice. You've got some leather on here. You can move it all the way back to your drive, and then you've got manual shift controls right here as well. It's a pretty solid feeling shifter. As we go back, we have an electronic parking brake, which is new, with our brake hold button over here. Drive mode, you can hit your drive mode and you actually only have sport and then just regular. It's not like the smart system with an eco mode and sport mode and all that like you've seen on some other Hyundai Kia models. Here's our button to have your camera active. So if you have that lit up, it will automatically populate the camera, the surround view camera when you need it. The bottle holders are a little bit small, but they work just fine. My bottle fits in here just fine, and it doesn't get in the way of the radio, the AC, the shifter, or my storage. which is exactly how I like it. Now moving back to our armrest, this is a nice, this is kind of stiffer, but it's not like a hard plastic. It's just a stiff material, but a little bit thin, not too bad. And then we've got a pretty good sized bin down here. No lighting in here or controls or anything like that. But you've got this removable tray, which you can keep a fair amount of things inside. Now one thing for some of you to consider is the base does not have vanity lights. They do have a mirror, but there's just no light. We always get the sliding visor right here. The Sport model and up will give you this automatic dimming rearview mirror with garage controls as well. And then another thing, the Night and Ultimate trim will give us this panoramic roof right here, which is pretty darn big. So if I turn around and go back, you can see exactly how far that goes. It goes right above the backseat passengers, which is pretty awesome. And then even though we have that, we still have a sunglass holder up here as well. LED lighting up here, just a nice extra touch at this price point, honestly. The glove box over here does not lock, but it does softly open, and it's a decent size. Nothing's gonna fall out of there. And then the last thing is we go ahead and take a look at our visibility. Front pillars, not too bad. A little bit bigger, but not too bad with the rest of the pillars. Then as we get to the back, of course that area on vehicles like this is a little tricky to see. That window doesn't help too much, but now you get a look at the blind spot. And then if I look over my shoulder, still some fair amount of space between that and the pillar. All right, hopping into the back seat is a breeze. It's really easy to get in here. It's just a nice height, easy for children, that's for sure. And at 5'9", sitting behind myself, I've still got good knee space, good foot space, and I'm relatively comfortable on here. These seats have enough thigh support for me to at least be comfortable for a little while. Sitting up tall, I've got good headroom right here, even though we have this big panoramic roof, which looks really cool from back here, and it goes all the way to pretty much behind my head. Now new is we have a USB port right below here on the SEL trim and up, and we have AC vents on the SEL trim and up. So the bottom two trims don't get the air conditioning vents right here. We also have a standard folding armrest with a little bit of padding and a couple small cup holders. And on the top Ultimate trim, you even get heated rear seats, which is something I didn't really expect to see coming out of a vehicle of this price point. But the switches on the door and all the materials on the door over here are about the exact same as they are up front. A relatively soft area, and then still a soft armrest for your elbow. And a lot of problems with back seats is that they just sit up straight, sit up too much, but these can actually recline and recline back a pretty good way, so you can get comfortable in here. And then you've got your old blank handle right here. Overall, it's a pretty nice, spacious back seat. And then if I move over to the middle, there is a little bit of a hump in the middle here. Not a huge one. A child could probably sit here no problem, but if the roof was closed, I still think I would have enough headroom right here. But hip room is definitely lacking. It would be tough getting 3 adults across back here. Fun fact, even though this is about 5 inches shorter than the RAV4, this has more rear legroom than the RAV4. Do you believe that? For 2019, the Hyundai Tucson gets its 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty that you've been seeing across Hyundai and Kia's lineup. No longer available is the 1.6-liter turbocharged engine with the 7-speed dual clutch. Now you've got 2 engine options, a 2-liter and a 2.4-liter 4-cylinder engine that are both naturally aspirated. The 2.0-liter 4-cylinder is on the base and the value trim, and it'll put out about 161 horsepower and 150 pound-feet of torque. Now this one that we have right here, the rest of the trims and up will get the 2.4-liter 4-cylinder engine that will put out 181 horsepower, 175 pound-feet of torque that comes out at 4,000 RPM. Both of those will be paired with a 6-speed automatic transmission with a manual shifting mode. Now for this class and for this size of vehicle and the power that you get from it, miles per gallon is not very good. The base trim will get 23 in the city and 30 on the highway for front-wheel drive, the base and the value with the 2-liter engine. Once you get to the 2.4-liter engine, what we have right here in the front-wheel drive configuration will be 22 city, 28 highway, and 25 combined. All-wheel drive will knock that down to 21 city, 26 highway, and 23 combined. And the highway number with this 2.4-liter all-wheel drive is actually a tick better than the the 2-liter with all-wheel drive. So if you're gonna get all-wheel drive, definitely go for the 2.4-liter. You get more power and slightly better highway fuel efficiency. Thank you so much for sticking around for the test drive. So right off the bat, my first impression of the Hyundai Tucson is that it feels like a solid little vehicle. I mean, there are some hard materials in here and there's some nice materials in here, but it's exactly what you would expect for this class. But overall, it's got a solid feel on the road. The steering has a decent feel to it, to where you feel relatively well planted. We'll talk a little bit more about the handling. The ride height is, you know, kind of middle, low-ish. It's definitely not like a car. It's not as low as that, but it's not quite like the Kia Telluride that I was just in that sits a little taller than this. Now, in some daily driving, I've been driving this every day for about a week, just about 6 days now. Combined driving with some city, mostly highway, I've been averaging 25.9 miles per gallon. I just got done with a 30-mile highway trip, mixed speeds, 70, going through a couple small towns, dropping it down, and I ended up getting like 24.5 to 25 miles per gallon. And I just kind of had it on cruise, which was honestly disappointing considering the power that this has and the size of the vehicle. But it's rated at 28 on the highway, but overall I've gotten better with some of my mixed driving. But honestly, if you're gonna get all-wheel drive, definitely spring for this engine because it's better in some ways than that 2-liter for efficiency, just for the all-wheel drive. Now, let's go ahead and get on it. We are a front-wheel drive only in this one, and floored. All right, so it's got a nice sound to it. It's definitely not an unrefined sound at all. And this 2.4-liter is enough. It's adequate. In daily driving, I haven't really had a problem with it. Going to pass people a couple of times, it's been a little bit scary. It's been not quite what I would want, but it's good enough. I would definitely go for this instead of the 2-liter, even though I haven't driven that in the Tucson. Now, as we take a couple of just regular corners, couple turns, the steering feel is fairly responsive, honestly, for this class anyways. It feels okay, but it just, you know, there's still some connectedness to the road, but not a whole lot. It's certainly no Mazda CX-5 in terms of handling, but for this class, it's just fine. One thing that I have been kind of annoyed by, though, is, I don't know if it's just because I came from a different vehicle that felt different, but when I'm on the highway, I feel like I have to make more little adjustments with the steering wheel for whatever reason. I don't know if it changed, you know, if it's a lot different at the higher speeds, but there's really not a whole lot of body lean in here. It's a fairly composed vehicle, and ride comfort going over some bumps is pretty good. It's a good balance of ride and handling. You don't necessarily sacrifice one or the other. They're both very good. Now, I just put it in sport mode. Right away, it did not kick me down, but pedal down. You got some decent acceleration from a mid-range speed, which is always good. And surprisingly, in this sport mode, it still got me at 1.5 RPMs. But I just got on it there, and it kicked me down definitely further than it typically would have in the normal mode. So if you need to pass somebody, or if you just want to have some fun, you can still have a little bit of fun in that sport mode and expect some better RPMs. A little more on the ride comfort. I haven't had any rattles in here, which is good, as well as the noise, vibration, harshness. Of course, this isn't going to be, it's not going to be like the Hyundai Palisade, Kia Telluride type of vehicle with its quietness, but the ride is still good enough. Some big stuff does get in here because we don't have a very long wheelbase, but one thing is that this panoramic roof up here, which is really cool, by the way, it's really nice. When I go over some uneven ground sometimes, like some roads where there's a dip, or my driveway when I go up, the sunroof kind of creaks just a little bit. Not as much as some other vehicles that I've had, but other than that, I haven't had any rattles, and if you don't have the panoramic roof, you probably won't have that as a problem. In terms of road noise is pretty good. It's better than I was expecting for this class. I've got decibel ratings down below that you can see, but overall, not too bad. Of course, once you get on a rougher surface road that's a little bit louder in most vehicles, some of that noise gets in here more, you know, than it probably could be. But on a highway, interstate drive, just going smooth, it's pretty quiet, and that's something I wasn't always expecting. One thing is that standard, we have a laminated front windshield, which definitely can help. Now, as I get on it right there, like I said, for the most part, this is good enough. It's plenty good for most people, and it's certainly not the worst out of any vehicle that I've been in. But merging onto a highway and passing people are some times when I wish this had more power, especially considering the efficiency. If my biggest gripe with the Tucson is the efficiency relative to its size and power. And I griped about this with the Honda HR-V that I recently had too, even though these aren't competing vehicles necessarily, but not the best miles per gallon. If you're going to be doing a lot of mileage, you're going to be racking up a lot of mileage, you might want to look at something more efficient. But in conclusion, when you're looking at the Hyundai Tucson, this is extremely feature rich. Hyundai provides a lot of value. There's a whole lot to like about the Hyundai and all of their vehicles if you really like some features. You don't necessarily get high-end touches and super quiet or super good ride or super good handling. They don't necessarily thrive in any of those, but they give you a lot of features and a lot of stuff, and they have a great warranty. So this is smaller than most of its competitors that it technically competes with in the compact class, like the CX-5, the RAV4, the Subaru Forester, and on and on and on. There are some pros to those over this. There's quite a few. However, if you want the features, and if you don't want something quite as big, kind of an in-betweener size, but not too small like a CHR or like the Kona, this is great. This is great for being in the city, great for maneuvering around, a lot of features, and it does everything good enough, and I don't think anybody would really complain with it. So there you have it. There is the 2019 Hyundai Tucson Ultimate review for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe down below for weekly videos. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next week.